Write an engaging and emotional story based on the title, sir. My mom isn't waking up, the little girl whispered. The CEO froze and said, take me to her. Begin the story with hook who joins the viewers at the end. Immediately capture attention, also motive viewers to like video and subscribe the channel. Develop the plot with emotional depth and relatable characters, including key challenges and their resolutions. Ensure the story maintains a smooth pace suitable for an 4,000-minute YouTube video, leaving a strong, inspiring message by the end. Plain paragraphs but long story as you can based on 2,000-word estimate. In the bustling heart of New York City, where skyscrapers pierce the clouds like ambitious dreams, Alexander Hale stood at the helm of Hale Enterprises, a tech empire that controlled billions in revenue. He was the kind of CEO who thrived on chaos. Board meetings that ran like battlefields, deals sealed with ironclad handshakes, and a schedule so packed it left no room for sentiment. But on that fateful rainy afternoon, as thunder rumbled outside his penthouse office, everything changed. A small voice pierced the air, fragile yet insistent, like a crack in a dam about to burst. Sir, my mom isn't waking up, whispered a little girl, no older than 7, her wide eyes brimming with tears as she clutched a worn teddy bear. Alexander froze, his coffee cup midway to his lips, the world around him grinding to a halt. Without a second thought, he set the cup down and knelt to her level. Take me to her, he said, his voice steady but his heart pounding like never before. What followed was a story of unexpected compassion that would redefine lives, and if this tale touches your heart as much as it did mine, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that remind us of our shared humanity. The day had started like any other for Alexander. At 45, he was a widower, his wife lost to cancer 5 years prior, leaving him with a void he filled with work. No children of his own, just endless ambition. His employees revered and feared him in equal measure, efficient, demanding, but fair. Among them was Elena Ramirez, a single mother in the accounting department, known for her quiet diligence. She'd been with the company for 3 years, juggling spreadsheets and school pickups with the grace of someone who'd known hardship. Her daughter, Mia, was the light of her life, a bubbly girl with curls that bounced like her spirit. But lately, Elena had been pushing herself too hard. Sleepless nights poring over reports, skipping meals to meet deadlines, all while hiding the fatigue that gnawed at her. That morning, she'd felt a sharp pain in her chest but brushed it off as stress. By midday, in the break room, she collapsed, her body giving out from an undiagnosed heart condition exacerbated by exhaustion. Mia had been at the office because it was a "bring your child to work" day, a rare event Alexander had approved to boost morale. While other kids played with gadgets in the lobby, Mia had wandered off, finding her way to the executive floor after a frantic search for her mom. The security guard, seeing her distress, had let her through, assuming it was harmless. Now, here she was, tugging at Alexander's sleeve, her small hand trembling. She's in the lounge downstairs, Mia sniffled, wiping her nose with the back of her hand. Alexander nodded, scooping her up without hesitation, something utterly out of character for the man who avoided personal entanglements. As they descended in the elevator, his mind raced. He wasn't a doctor, but he'd seen enough loss to know urgency when it stared him in the face. Mia buried her face in his shoulder, whispering, "Mommy said she'd make pancakes tonight. She promised." Arriving at the employee lounge, Alexander found a small crowd gathered around Elena, who lay motionless on the couch, her face pale and clammy. A colleague was on the phone with 911, but the ambulance was delayed by the storm. Alexander knelt beside her, checking for a pulse. It was faint, erratic. Memories flooded him. His wife's final days in the hospital, the beeps of machines, the helplessness. "Elena," he said softly, shaking her shoulder. No response. Mia clung to his leg, sobbing. In that moment, the CEO in him vanished, replaced by a man who'd once been a husband, a caregiver. He barked orders to clear the room, then began CPR, his hands pressing rhythmically on her chest as he'd learned in a mandatory training years ago. "Come on, stay with us," he muttered between breaths. Mia watched, wide-eyed, her teddy bear forgotten on the floor. Paramedics arrived 10 agonizing minutes later, taking over with defibrillators and oxygen. Elena was rushed to the hospital, Mia riding with her in the ambulance while Alexander followed in his sleek black SUV, rain lashing the windows like accusations. At the ER, doctors confirmed it, a severe arrhythmia, triggered by chronic stress and an underlying congenital defect. Surgery was needed, a pacemaker implant, to stabilize her heart. But as Alexander paced the waiting room, he learned more from a social worker. Elena had no insurance beyond the basic company plan, which wouldn't cover the full procedure. As a single mom, she'd been scraping by, her late husband's debt still looming. Mia, now curled up in a chair with a hospital blanket, looked up at him. "Will mommy be okay, Mr. Hale?" she asked, her voice small. Alexander sat beside her, an unfamiliar warmth stirring in his chest. "She will be, kiddo. I promise." He pulled out his phone, calling his CFO. "Authorize full coverage for Elena Ramirez's medical bills. All of it. And set up a fund for her recovery." It was impulsive, but right. As the night wore on, Mia fell asleep on his lap, and Alexander reflected on his own life. He'd built an empire, but at what cost? His wife's illness had taught him that success meant nothing without connection, yet he'd buried that lesson under layers of boardroom armor. Now, this little girl and her mom were cracking it open.